Hello and welcome to Dean Prints Stuff. I'm no expert, but let's see if I can help you learn something today. Now don't laugh. This is my simple setup. I've got an old Creality CR6 SE which I've been playing with for the past 4 years. And yeah, a lot has been done. I have a homemade light. I have a Pi system which is running Octoprint. I love it. Yes, I do have a filament guide. And this is how I store my filament. Don't mock me, I've been doing it for years. So yeah, it works. I got a few little silica bags inside, the sealed Ziploc bags, and hey, it seems to do the job. So basically, this is how I do it. I choose what filament I need, and you just got to be careful. Make sure you have the right one. It's a PLA, obviously the color you can see, but I've done it a few times where you make the mistake of grabbing a PETG or a ABS, and you load it up and your print's an absolute mess. So just double check before you start loading up everything. Right, so pull it out the bag. I use a Sunlu filament dryer. Everyone should have one. Really, guys, it will save you a ton of time and problems. Make sure that you also stick your filament through the holes when you store it. You don't want lines crossing over. That will end up with absolute nightmare. Once you're ready, you're going to take that twisty piece. You need to cut it straight. Snip it at around 45 degrees. Give it a nice point on there. And then load up your filament and feed it through the system. The reason for the 45-degree cut is it just goes through the whole system a lot easier and also gets to the nozzle, and it's not a massive big lump that you need to load up at once. So it just makes everything easier. So load up your filament, make sure everything is clear, push it all the way through until it doesn't go anymore, which means it's pressing against the nozzle. Power up your printer and wait for the printer to fully boot. Because I use a Pi system and Octoprint, I have to wait until the printer is fully booted in order for the Pi system to properly detect the printer and save me lots of trouble. Let's prepare the bed for printing. Because I use the flat, smooth side of the glass bed, I use an extreme hold hairspray. Trust me, it just works. Everything sticks. Yes, I've printed something before, and just give it a light coating everywhere where you think you're going to be printing. You should know, and just leave it for now. Your printer's not warming up. It's not doing anything. Just let it settle in. My son wanted me to print some stuff for him. He sent me a link of the files on Thingiverse. Thingiverse is free files. You shouldn't really resell them. But yeah, once you have the link, you can go through and individually download the files you need, or, download the whole lot in one go. Once downloaded, extract them to your desktop or to a folder and make sure everything is there that you need. Once ready, start up your slicer of choice. Mine is Cura, and simply drag and drop them onto the Cura desktop. Once all the files are loaded together, it's going to just crowd everything on top of each other. So what you need to do is just right-click on the bed and say Arrange All Models. It'll then try its best to arrange, but sometimes something won't fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to downscale these files from 100% down to 85%, so I can see if everything will then fit. Once that's done, you tell it to arrange, and voila, there you go. Everything then fits nicely on the bed and is ready to go. Now, before I hit the slice button, I go and I just double check all my settings. Yes, sometimes you're in a hurry. You're going to do the wrong thing and just hit go, and you still got settings for something else loaded. Make sure your temperatures and your bed temperatures and everything are set correctly. Go through speed. Check your cooling is also set properly. Make sure if you need supports, Or if you don't need it, turn it off. Build plate adhesion, sometimes you need that. I don't need any supports or anything for this. A wonderful feature that I found is use adaptive layers. This has absolutely been a game changer for me. It will automatically adjust the quality of your print where it needs a higher quality. I always have it on. I would rather sacrifice time over speed, and it just works better for me. Once you've checked everything, hit the slice button and sit back and wait. I did speed this up because it does take a while. Just be patient. Once it's done, it will tell you how long it's going to take. Yes, this is a very, very long print, and it's going to take a day and a half to print, so I'm not in a rush. Holding over the info button will just give you a breakdown of all the times, what takes so long, and it's just the way that I do everything. You can hit the preview button, which then shows all your layers. Run through everything. I always make sure everything is 100% before that, especially the very first layer. Make sure that everything is touching the base plate. Sometimes they are lifted up a slight bit and you end up with problems. It happens often with models. They don't sit properly. So run through it. You can also go through, there's various different ways you can have a look. Pretty cool. Check your layer thickness. As you can see with this one, the layer thickness for the entire model, because of the quality, it's dropped it down to 0.16. So, yeah, well, although my original quality is 0.2 millimeters, well, there you go. Okay, so once you are happy with everything and you've checked everything and you played around with everything else and you're good to go, you can just give it one last check and make sure, trust me guys, I've done this so many times. Just make sure everything fits and there's no loose bits, nothing needs supports. I run through it slowly. You cannot print in mid-air, it makes problems. So make sure you have enough filament, which is important. That also just tells me a costing, which if I do need to quote a client, I can give him that price. I also send through a screenshot. Once you're done, hit the save button and make sure that you have the correct file name. I have a plugin that I use which changes the file name to a custom file name, which is called the G-Code File Name Format Plus. You get it from the Marketplace store where you can edit the formatting, which is a lifesaver for me because I like to keep everything in a file name. I know who, what, where, when, and there we go. Once you have your file saved, you can then just slap it on a SD card and pop it in your printer and hit the go button, or watch further for the complicated part that I do. Octoprint. That's the little blue pie that I use. That I use to control my whole printer and the cameras and the time lapse and everything. So basically I run it from my machine. It has all the printer details and live views and everything I need to see is all in one place. So I can then take that file that I've just made, I drag it, I drop it into this, and it will upload it to the Octoprint system, which does take some time. But while I wait for it, I then go through and I start warming up my printer. Everything is preset. Oh man, I love this system. And it just shows you the current temperatures, whatever it is on now. You can sit and while you're waiting to prepare your files and get everything going, you have a lot to play with. This is the time-lapse system. A lot of fine-tuned settings so that my pretty videos and time-lapses can come through. I don't have a full HD camera, so that's why the quality is not the best, but we're getting there. This is the one camera I use for monitoring the whole printer from a distance, but you can control the printer. There's so much. There's even an app on your mobile that you get for this, which does exactly the same. Right, we are loaded up. You can see there's an image of the file that is there. The system then analyzes the entire G-code file. That's what the little flashing triangle is. Don't touch until it's finished. Otherwise, you interfere with the whole thing. I know, I've done it. So leave it, let it do its thing. The printer is still currently warming up. You can see in the temperature graph there. And while that is all happening and it's checking, I then just go and I extrude 50 millimeters of filament just to make sure everything is loaded, and also just to purge the rest of the old filament that might still be sitting in the nozzle. Wait for it just to reach temperature. Some of the cool things is with the camera view, you can actually go into full screen, and while you're in full screen, it gives you control with the up and down arrows. You can move the head around, the bed around, everything. This is the other camera I have, which I use to monitor the filament that's left. I can see the roll. I can do everything I want and stop the printer even if I have to. Right, so it looks like we're close up on temperature. The little star has stopped flashing. You can then go and have a look. It gives you a fairly accurate time frame of how long that print is going to take. So yeah, you can just get ready for that long day and a half print. Right, once that is all done, we can then load the file now, get it ready for printing. And while that's busy loading, we then go back to control and hit the extrude button so that we can spit out a bit of filament and purge. You can see I had the black loaded there. So it's just purging out that little bit. The white is coming through. That's looking good. Right, once that's done, we can then head back and hit the print button because everything is ready to go. It'll then process the G-code for the octo lapse, which is the time-lapse system. That also has to scan it and make sure it's going to take the picture at the right time. It's all very complicated. I just leave it and let it do its own thing. It's fantastic. Automatic timer, and once you're ready, away it goes, doing its thing. It'll then give you a date. So this one will take that much time, yes, 33 hours almost, and it tells you the time and date, if needed, when it will be complete. And while the print is warming up and doing its checks and whatever and homing, I go into the G-code section. I wait until that is ready and it's read the G-code file, and I just give everything one last check. Make sure your first layer has got everything on there. If something is missing, stop the print now and save your time. Scroll through all the layers, make sure everything is there, things are looking good, and check everything once again, and that's it. Leave it, go make a cup of coffee and come back in a day and a half. Never. I will never just start it and walk off. Always important. The printer is now doing its purge line. This is very important as well, just to make sure things are going well before it really goes. And I always just pull that off and just give it a double check, make sure the lines are squishing properly and there's enough of everything in there. And then I always wait until at least the first, second, third layer is done, even though it's going to take half an hour and a half. Something like this, I always start early in the morning. I can keep an eye on it. Once a printer gets going through most of the day, it's pretty much set to carry on.
Many unbearable hours later.
Well, we're 8 hours and 10, 11 minutes into the print so far. Everything is looking fantastic so far. I also just double check things are going well. The octolapse, which is nice, shows you that it's taken 38 pictures so far. You can run through it and just double check everything is going well. And that's it. We come back tomorrow and see what happens.
The following day.
Well, it's so nice to wake up the next morning and just see everything is still going nice. With a few hours in, Things are looking good. Things are printing. We still have filament left. I just love this little printer. Anyway, we'll see you at the end. And here we have our successful print done and dusted. Just let the glass bed cool right down and your print should just pop off. Just some close-up shots. The reason that I do choose this new or existing adaptive layers is just the quality of the print is just superb. They look so smooth, and yes, it is much closer, but it's really worth it. Quality over time any day in my books. Right, once I'm done with the print, I then eject the filament, and the way I do it on mine is you go to prepare, and then you say change filament. Make sure your nozzle temp is set to whatever your filament runs at, and then I know I need 455 millimeters, and once it's ready, it'll then lift the head up. You can see it there a little bit. It's going to push the filament into the nozzle and then pull it out and rewind it all the way so that everything comes out. And there we go. Done. And that I can then cool down the printer and switch everything off. I hope you guys got this far in the video. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and there's plenty more to come. Thanks.